And we are live.
Well, hello everybody. We are live once again in the X47 system, up to our next shenanigans. Let me just mirror myself over. There we go.
Hey, there we go.
Now, why are we here this time? Well, this time it's our turn. We get to have the tie-dye work in our favor. It's us that's anchoring something, and that's a Fortizar. The Fortizar is going off the Keepstar so that we can siege it the conventional way. We've tried subcap engagements. We've tried having fun fleets to keep this war interesting, but we've been battered back, and the FARC coalition have made it very clear that if we want to remove them from this system, then we're going to have to siege it. And so there it is. The fort. It's coming out in quite. It's got a little bit more time left yet, but as all of you know, who are sat in fleets, we've been called early. We've been called in so that we can get control in X47. Any of you wormholers or ex-wormholers out there will be familiar with hull control. And this is essentially what we're trying to do here, is to get everybody assembled, get everybody into where they need to be, so that we can see exactly what the objective is. For the first time, we're able to throw the gauntlet at the FARC coalition and say, here we are, come fight. Let me go ahead and get the Twitch page loaded. We've had some technical difficulties today, but it has prevailed. We are live. We are here. We are here to entertain you while you sit on this fleet and we wait for either a colossal fight or blue balls.
Or a structure bash while we scamper off somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But we've had some. There's been a lot of controversial fights going on with the tie-dye of late. It brings you back to our first attempt, where we was unable to pause the armor repair timer due to tie-dye. It caused absolute havoc, not just on ourselves, the Imperium, but it caused absolute havoc with Pandemic. We now have the information that the reason why the Paladin fleet ate so much shit is because they could not get out of Bastion. Just like the Leshaks weren't able to cycle their guns, so that they weren't able to get the spool damage, the Paladins, once they'd hit that Bastion module, they couldn't get out. And so we saw that huge massacre going along there. So we've got the inside scoop. And, you know, a lot of people say very skewed towards the Imperium. We are the Imperium network. But, you know, if there's information to report on for the other guys, fine. You know, it affected those guys just like it affected us. And that was a huge contribution to why they lost so many Paladins last fight. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on a sort of rematch, really, with the Golden Fleet going up against the Imperium forces, with things kind of working as intended, as opposed to not being able to spool and not being able to leave Bastion. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
What are the structures that are all reinforced? Are those all forts, or what are all those?
So
those are Cynojammers. Yes.
So we have one Fortizar, which obviously is the one that's onlining. That is the main subject for, you know, today's potential sort of showdown. There is another Goon Fortizar that is currently anchoring. It will take 2 days, 1 hour to anchor. So, you know, always there with the backup plan, just in case, right? And then the other two that are reinforced at the moment are, in actual fact, one is a jammer, which was just reinforced kind of very recently. So that is the Tenebrae Sino jammer. They, It seems that Fart Coalition has kind of taken down one of the Sino-jammers that they had up from the previous fight. They also put up an Antibac jump gate, which has been reinforced as well. So that's what that one is.
Yeah, what's the timer at the moment on the fort that we're interested in today? What time have we got left for the anchoring to begin?
So for that to begin, it is at 39 minutes. So
Okay.
we should start seeing a ramp up in activity.
Yeah.
I mean, almost any time, really, to be honest, because like a lot of these engagements, especially when they become like fairly colossal, the engagement happens very, very, like quite a decent way from the actual anchoring or from the actual timer from expiring, as it were.
For sure.
Interesting thing.
Have we seen any
Well, for
fleet?
those that are asking in the chat, no, there has been no fighting yet. We are all waiting to see what are they going to form. Are they going to contest this, or will they stand it down?
Mm. We seem to have had a camera failure in some way, shape, or form. Sorry about that. We'll see what we can do with that.
But so have we seen our fleets moving yet? Have we seen any of them moving? I know we've formed, but that's about it. You can
We've
obviously
definitely formed. Like I'm fairly certain that there is formations on the other sort of side as well.
That's it. We have made ourselves known and what we've got. We made sure that we got everybody in system way ahead of schedule, so that we could get control of this. And so really, we're waiting for the timer to come out, and we're also waiting for the for Fart Coalition to answer.
Yep. We seem to have a bit of a camera issue with John's camera right now, but we shall endeavor to sort that out soon.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just running through the various different technical things that go through. I guess this is a bit of a different time zone for us, so it's the internet in general for the EU is a lot more strained. So
yeah,
we start to see
very
a lot
very
more
much
rates,
UK internet.
Yeah. Then again, we're practically next door to the servers.
I mean, we are kind of next door to the servers in that regard, yeah. But like, we're not next door to the Twitch servers or Discord servers, unfortunately. So that's a problem in that regard.
I've isolated my technical things, so it should be.
There is an imminent chance of a fight. Yes, there is. A lot of the time, grid control is fought over before timers even actually come out. So especially when we're sub 1 hour. Ah, there we go. John's got his camera back.
There we go. Something to look at. Yeah, there is either going to be a colossal fight to destroy the Fortizar before it's able to anchor, or they simply will just do what we did a couple days ago and said that these guys have prepared more than we have and we have to stand down. So, so far it's been us as the aggressors, and now this time we wait to see how the Fart Coalition are going to take this on. I mean, the Imperium has been telling us that the pings have been going out almost every other hour on the other side to say that they need to prepare, they need to get everyone ready for this fort. So they've been pinging. It's definitely a high priority. This is not something that they've just waved off. But we're here. We've got everything in place. it's really who wants it. Who wants it more?
What fleet is warping around right now, McLeod? Can you look at that?
Yeah, when I'm not like in the middle of like sorting something else out. You know?
Well, I saw an orange fleet warp off of the Keepstar grid.
That is a Jackdaw fleet. Of
They just can't gate, or
yeah, they're just deleting what was an executor. Seems.
poor little executor.
So looking at the formations there, what fleet have we got eyes on at the moment?
This is an NC Jackdaw fleet.
Okay.
So
If NC is bringing Jackdaws, I don't think they. I'm wondering if they don't think they're going to break this Fortizar.
I mean,
really, if they bring enough people, honestly,
you know, NC have always been, fairly capital and super capital heavy. So, when they bring fleets, like especially on a timer like this, their priority would be making sure that everybody's in their caps and super caps, and then potentially pitching into other fleets or running sort of like a smaller fleet just for just to entertain, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and a Jackdaw fleet is sorry.
They are looking really to predominantly to blap anything that comes through that gate.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I just would have expected them in something heavier, like an Eagle fleet or some sort of, cruiser doctrine that can really pump. Because these guys, they always seem to fight, for us not liking NC much, they always seem to really fight above their weight class relatively well in ship size. So I don't know, maybe the Jackdaws are enough, but not if we're bringing battleships.
I see the Jackdaw fleet is very much a sort of like a token sort of entertainment fleet from NC right now. So
yeah, well, this is it. This is also the first time that we've seen the Imperium caps on grid. We've got the anti-capital dreads on the other Fortisar, which have already been scoped out by Pandemic Horde and Co. And so, it looks like that the Imperium fleets have been slowly pushing in various different compositions and capitals in preparation for this. It is also key to note that the last time we was in the system, we witnessed the FARC coalition signing out their capitals. Yeah. Obviously, at the time, we was looking to try to take the iHub into reinforcement, so they would have been looking for a tactical repositioning. So many of those capitals may still be out of system, waiting to either counter drop or initiate. So this time we get the luxury of sitting back and saying, make your move, and then we can act accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of those caps that were jumped out it was very thread heavy, and it was very I believe there were a fair amount of dreads, but there were also a fair amount of force auxiliaries as well.
Yep. We've not seen much in formations from the FARC coalition. Or anything spicy on Tether at the moment? On the Keepstar, rather.
Lately, PH and them have been pretty good about being formed up early. So right now we see just a Jackdaw fleet, and what else is over there?
A Jackdaw fleet, it seems, and there might be a couple of Tengus.
I mean, it is looking like it's getting close to the timer, but like we witnessed on our last skirmish over the iHub, the FARC coalition was able to quickly form together multiple fleets. They was able to quickly bring in several golden fleets, several faxes, very short notice. So it might look a bit barren now, but it won't take them long to everybody to plus into the system.
So this is a top-down view of what the grid looks like with the keep star basically in the center. You have Fortizars on opposite ends, or essentially almost opposite ends. The Cynojammers are off on that side, and the Anspex jump gate is close in to the keep star here. So with the gate inter-system and on grid on the bottom left hand side. So as a perspective, that's what we're looking at.
We got what, 40 minutes?
Yeah, well, we've got left the timer for the Fortizar now.
Timer for the Fortizar is at 28 minutes.
Okay. So not quite at 800, but close.
No. I mean, lots of things have been kicking off. I mean, behind the scenes, we was looking at the stream, thinking, do we hold off until the timer comes further along, or at what point should we go live to report on this as a breaking news war footage? But if you guys are all sat in space, and you all are waiting and sat around patiently, then we should be too, right there with you and trying to report on whatever we can.
What do we have?
As we see, the time dilation's kind of going up a little bit to 34%, but we have a Imminent fleet from XIX.
Oh.
Yeah, myself in the Sigma Grindset Alliance, we are sporting the Imminent fleet. Myself flying in the Lynx boat. Personally, hate flying Imminent so much, but this is why I try to opt in as quick as I can to fly the broadsword for the Lynx, so I don't feel so dirty. But it's a numbers game, and when we get these big fights like this, it's the nature of it. We have to fly Munins. It's what's most effective, and there's no point trying to rewrite the rule book there.
Yes, just despite the nerfs that did occur to the Munin is still in a viable position to be a fleet, a mainline Doctrine fleet.
Yeah, I don't think anybody takes pleasure in flying them, but it's the thing that when it's a numbers game like this, it's who's got the most, and yeah.
I know probably one Elo Knight still enjoys flying Munins because he always has, and I'm sure he always will.
He's probably currently sleeping in his nest somewhere. Elo only comes out when he hears that he can beat up on Tess.
So the big fight is either going to happen in the next 25 minutes or it's not. Essentially, we are waiting for our Fortizar to anchor just off the enemy keepstar, which obviously we intend to siege and to remove as part of our war plan to remove them from the system, from Brave's territories. This is the last keepstar on our war objectives. Whether or not the Imperium leaders would decide to leave us to go further or not, or whether that would be the end of the deployment and everyone goes back home and Brave is hailed as saved. That's going to have to remain to be seen. Beautiful angles of the Munins. Couldn't find a better ship to look at.
There's some nice color schemes. Some nice nice paint jobs on some of those Munins.
Yeah, you can always roll a turd in glitter. Yeah.
So you can't polish a turd, but you can roll it in glitter. So you know.
Exactly. I'm trying to make sense of some of these comments in the chat here.
So obviously, there will always be calls of people saying that they've stood down or not stood down, etc., etc. Like the only real kind of test of that is when it's go time, that people either sack up or don't. We got 24 minutes until it's sack up or not. Do we know whether Imperium are using sacrileges at all?
I don't. There's not been many pings gone out for that I've seen. Most of the supplemental fleets have come through for the Munins.
I know that I've not seen any sacrilege fleets.
Since the changes with the hacks, Serbs have took a dramatic hit to their range, which has then sort of put Munin in a much better spot for engagements like these. So the only viable hacks now, I mean, Eagles, we have seen those, they can be used. The Munins have sort of changed, gone through the evolution from artillery to missiles. And with the Imperium, at least, the Sacrilege fleet. I personally love flying the Sacrilege fleet. It's a beautiful looking ship. You get mid slots so that you are doing your own, a bit of your own gameplay. Yes, you're F1ing, but you're also finding targets that are closest to you and tracking, disrupting them. So you've at least got something to do. And again, it's just a better looking ship.
Ooh, it looks like a Bifrost may have accidentally thrown an Enu and a Saber out.
We don't mind small things
about those. Whether that was a feint just to get the jackdaws over in order to start dishing out some pain, we don't know. But Munin fleet's coming over, jackdaws are already there, lined out probably.
Definitely. So if the FARC coalition do not show to contest this Fortizar that we are anchoring off the Keepstar, this then gives us, as the Imperium, the ability to have all of our caps there, all the carriers, not the super carriers as such. Yes, it is important for the super carriers if we decide to do a siege on a super level, but as for the capitals, it gives us we can have all the normal carriers there. We can have the anti-capital dreads in system. We no longer have to fight to take down the Sino jammers. We will just be in system. And so if they let this Fortizar anchor, then it's a huge nerf to their defensive capabilities of this system. Going back to the Vietnam, where the enemy forces were trying to get into 1DQ, they never managed to get in, they never managed to get a foothold. So us being in now, this is already, if this goes live, grid control is going to be completely on our side.
Yeah. And what we're seeing right now is essentially just, a lot of toing and froing, just like poking, a bit of like fleet maneuvering just to see what sort of initial offerings this fight can sort of can grab.
Yeah, it would be a major disadvantage if this Fortizar is allowed to anchor. Because, as I say, as a colleague of mine in my corporation correctly pointed out, it will give us incredible grid control, which at the moment, so far, the FARC coalition have been able to stop.
So right now we're seeing basically a token defense. What's on that all the jackdaws still on the Keepstar, or is there more there?
The jackdaws are pinging back and forth on the Keepstar.
It's just an orange mass far away, so it's hard to tell, if it's one little mass or not.
Yeah. They're pinging around the grid at the moment, it seems.
This is just a jackdaw fleet currently. We've not yet seen any substantial fleet coming in. Just wondering if you could get us a camera angle on the Imperium Fortizar, which is already anchored, where you will then be able to see the fleets that have converged.
Oh, this is the... Oop, here we go. There we go. see how wide we can get that kind of angle.
Have you got a camera angle of the anchored fort where the Imperium forces are currently sat waiting for the timer?
The actual anchored fort, I don't think is on grid. Like if it's
No, it's not on grid. No,
not on grid. I don't have that particular one.
That could give
put you on the
go there.
Yeah, if I could put you on the spot to warp away, let's have a look at these camera angles in action. This we're talking about the Tarkov hideout. Sid's Tarkov hideout, Fortizar.
Yes. That one. We can indeed go have a look.
Because if the Fart Coalition aren't going to give us anything to look at, then we'll have a look at our beautiful Imperium fleet. There is the luxury floating turd.
And here we are.
Should load in a second. There we go. Bang. This is the Imperium fleets, main fleets, and supplemental fleets that we've got there. We took, I'd say, almost 2 hours before the timers was due. We were instructed to converge everybody in, to get everybody on, to get the system control, so that we weren't struggling at the last moment to get into system. Originally, the timers and pings were set for 1800 Eve time, but to throw everybody off, we threw everybody in a lot sooner. You can start to see now the fleet starting to move into position.
Oh yes.
So now we get to see these beautiful fleets. Just as you arrive, they start to warp away.
Yeah, good timing.
Yeah. You know, great timing there.
We've had the Shack fleet in the system so far, sort of creating new timers. The Shack fleet has seen some significant use on this deployment. I've been on a few of these Shack fleets, and it's just a beautiful, wonderful ship to fly. I love the Leshaks, and I hope that we do much, much more with the Doctrine. Not just on an Imperial coalition level, but down to the individual alliances. We don't have enough Leshaks out there in space. I want to see more Triglavian ships in space.
I think it really kind of depends on how effective the ramp up mechanic is when it comes to tie-dye, because as we noted previously, the ramp up system and can the mechanic behind it can prove to be a little bit awkward to use.
Yep.
But you know,
well, when it doesn't work, it's key.
That's it. We've had these fleets slowly filtering in bit by bit. If we could have a look at the... Oh, we are. Everybody has been given the instruction to take the warps that the various FCs have given. If you manage to find the Munin fleet in there, that it would be the Sigma Grindset Alliance.
Yes, I think there's a close knit amount of Munins.
No, we're more at the back of the fort.
Okay.
The ball
spread out.
We're
spread
much
out.
much bigger than that. No, that's not us.
Sigma.
Zoom back out. See that giant ball at the back? Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, there we go.
Do we want to ping this out, or are we gonna still sit?
Yeah, I think it's worth pinging out now. The time is about to go, so anybody else who's looking to tune in.
Starting to
Right, we have the
starting to flex our
formations.
muscles, I believe.
Yep, everything is moving. I am actually in these fleets. I like to do these streams that I'm actually in it, so that I can, comment right from the front lines, let you know
No.
exactly what's happening.
You're not in it. I'm in it.
Oh yeah. Now, where's Sigma?
Gotcha there.
Just listening to the various different comms. I've got access to the Imperium comms, the Sigma comms, and some of the Capital comms, and the FCs were just letting us know that we've got about 15 more minutes until the onlining happens, and then 15 more minutes for it to actually fully anchor. So we've got at least another 30 minutes, 30 more minutes until this Fortizar anchors and gives us complete grid control. In effect, if the Fart Coalition do not stop this deployment of the fort going up, that keeps us as good as dead.
Yeah, the entire weight of the Imperium super capital and Titan fleet will come to bear on that keep star.
Exactly. Whenever you see the keep stars, if you've got a Fortizar anchored off it and you've allowed it to anchor, then that's just the end. Just adding my FC to my watch list, anchoring like a good pilot. The Imminent fleet from Sigma Grindset has managed to walk to the gate and catch a couple of jackdaws that were there. We've managed to take one or two of them that were just not quick enough to get off the draw.
So we have some breaking news from Reddit. Horde is not formed. They have stood down.
Oh, I mean,
a few people in the chat have been saying that is the same. But
so, I guess we are going to be watching this fort online and then us having our way with the system for a while, which is fine with me.
I mean, as soon as this Fortizar anchors, that's it, and there's not much more that we're going to need to stream for this particular engagement, because what more is there to say? That's it. We've got grid control. The supers will be there. The carriers will be there, and it'll just be the case of the Fart Coalition making it difficult for us to take it down.
Yep.
Up until now, we've had to contend with mainland China time, which puts timers anywhere from 1100 Eve time to about 1400 Eve time. But now, with us anchoring, we've not just anchored the one Fortizar, we've also got another one that comes out in a day or two, really showing the commitment of the Imperium that if Horde had formed to push this off, then we had multiple contingencies to go from there. But, looking at the history of what's been happening so far, Horde are being paid via contract to get involved in this. Initially Horde wanted nothing to do with the expansion, the greedy expansion of Fraternity into Brave space. But as soon as Resistance started to come along, we've got reports come through from Reddit and other different things about the money and the contracts that have come from Fraternity to Horde. And while the money's good, I guess the money's better than objecting to expanding and taking over the alliance that is Brave and the coalition they belong to.
Also, everyone in chat that says this was 30 minutes ago, listen, I'm working on info I get as I get it while I'm working at home, okay? If you guys had no info sooner, say it sooner.
People in the chat were saying a while ago that the Horde fleet had been ordered to stand down, but you can't take any of these things.
You can't take hearsay for absolute granted. It's not like we didn't see it. like we did see that you guys were like kind of saying it, but it's one of those things where it's like
Well,
you have to verify in some way, shape, or form, and even Reddit, like you know, people post sort of you know, people do this sort of thing on Reddit to try and meme on others and all that kind of stuff. So like even if it's posted on Reddit, it doesn't mean that it's 100% verified.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we don't want that to be the case. We want Horde to suddenly flash into system and give us a huge fight. They have been ridiculing the Imperium of late for standing down, not taking the fights. They've been very quick to go into local and to tell us, that we're not taking the fights. That it's, why aren't you fighting? You're here on deployment. Well, this time it was their turn. And unless they show up to contest the onlining of this Fortizar, to me, it seems egg on their face. So in response to some of the comments in the chat, the war objectives were clearly stated from the Imperium. Asher made it very clear that we are going north to remove Fraternity and the Fart Coalition from B2 space. This is the last Fart Keepstar within their space. And so essentially, once this Keepstar's gone and any other supplementary structures that are in Pure Blind, the war objectives are done. And then it's a decision on whether we take this deployment further or whether we just go home. Victory, we've done what we set out to do. We've liberated the Brave Coalition. So far, there has been zero aggression from the Fart Coalition pushing back into Brave or making any other battlegrounds outside of X47. So once the Keepstar here falls, that really is going to be the end of what's happening.
So, if let's say this Keepstar goes down, which it probably will, but it may not, because if you just shove enough people in there, things can become very difficult. Servers are a bitch. Do you think that based upon how momentum is, could we see us going further into Frat to take some revenge for losing so much shit in our home? Especially if PH abandons them.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's definitely an appetite from the Imperium to do more. We're here, we've had some great fights, we've had some great content. A lot of the older FCs have been coming out, and some of the new FCs stepping up as well. It's been great to see. I mean, in response to the reffing of the Keepstar again, we can do that really whenever. The main objective today is going to be getting our Fortizar online. And then once that's the case, we're just going to keep hitting that shield timer until we get a timer that falls in our favor. And then it's just the case of deploying the carriers to send to Skynet over the fighters. And the rest will really be history. Yes, it's not 100% guaranteed that if a Fortizar is anchored off a Keepstar that it's going to die. But with the tenacity of the Imperium, and I can speak personally from the comms and the pings that I have seen, we are going to get rid of this Keepstar, and having a Fortizar here is the beginning of the end of that.
Nice little flying V formation coming in.
So someone in chat asked, how can you be so sure the X47 Keepstar will go down? Basically, in this game, if you try long enough, everything in this game will die. Even 1DQ could die. You have to be very lucky for that one, particularly. But this Keepstar is a content star. at some point, the effort to save it will not outweigh its value. Or like basically the balance won't be right, and they will either give up or we will just barrel through it. Our alliance's specialty is killing keep stars that are hard to kill.
Yeah, for sure. And we attempted to take we took the other keep stars with the sub caps so that we allowed for any fights or response to come on up. We wanted to have a content war. We wanted good fights to happen. But on this final keep star, they've dug deep. They've thrown insult after every time we've had to stand down because they've outformed us. And so we really was expecting that during the anchoring process of this Fortizar that they would show. They would stick to their word and show us how it's done, I suppose.
I think kind of like really explaining why this is a significant thing, it is like kind of important. And it becomes a lot easier to be able to deploy heavy assets onto a grid if you have particularly if you have a safe spot in which to tether up, right? Fortizar does allow you to do that, and that's the thing. If you're in a situation where you're dropping heavy assets onto a grid and you don't have any place in on that grid to be able to safely deploy, right? And I mean the term safely deploy, right? Then that is a problem. And a classic example of that would be, M.2, right? The way and means that Pappy ended up deploying their supers and capitals onto supers and titans onto that grid on that second fight was very suboptimal, right? That was because they didn't decide to jump their supers and capitals onto into a safe location on grid. They jumped into a very, very dangerous area, and because of that, because of the sort of like the server weather, right? How the server performed, they were caught, in a very precarious place and lost a lot of heavy assets. And this is why, when it comes to traditional sieging of the larger structures in the game, a keep star, it's very, very preferential to have a very decent and large safe spot in order to deploy heavy assets to. And a Fortizar is exactly that.
You can see the Sigma fleet in the Munins has just met the other triangles. So now we have triangles on triangles on triangles.
Triangle fleets. Triangles.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the true triangles are oh, they're not here yet.
I mean, I've got to give it credit to the FARC coalition. They knew they could see the Imperium deploying up north with this clear objective to rid the keep stars.
I think what's going on here is Imperium fleets are trying to signify where the target for the FARC coalition is, specifically pointing to the Fortizar right there.
Sometimes you need to just make the arrows bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be hard. I understand. Space is huge. You can get lost very easily.
Yeah, this is where you need to be. But as I was saying, you've got to give it credit to the FARC coalition. They've shown up. They've given us fights. We've had some great fights. It's not quite been like the Fire coalition.
Wow, look at someone.
Which was over before it began. And it was really just trying to target any existing assets that were on grid, they have put up a fight. It's not in their interests. They're not gaining or losing any strategic advantage by losing these structures, but they've stayed, they've fought, and we've had some great fights out of it.
So this is a.
So I hear. So I
hello.
hear that the enemy is not fighting back for the
No,
fights.
not at all.
Allegedly. There are various Reddit posts and comments saying that they stood down well over 45 minutes ago. But
Is anchored. They just have to put the core in, which looks like they're doing.
Yep, we just had a couple of raw calls land in, which probably have various different modules and the core required for the Fortizar. So,
looks like the Imperium fleets are doing everything they can to try to provoke a fight here.
Including knocking at the door.
The order's been given to open fire on the Keepstar now. We've got the various different fleets coming into formation, all the different groups. There seems to be, since they won't attack the Fortizaran system, they instead we're going to see if it'll defend the Keepstar.
So we have a special guest with us today. Illustrious FC Dave Archer is joining us to give us the on-the-ground perspective of what's happening in his fleet. Welcome, Dave.
Hey guys, I'm not actually on the fleet. I arrived too late to.
Oh, fuck you!
I was napping, but I am in system. But yeah, as you're saying, if they ain't gonna fight us, we may as well shoot their shit.
Like a regal cat, you were napping.
We've been reffing this Keepstar every couple days now. The heat guns, as we like to call them, the Leshaks have done absolute. It can seem to strip the shields off these things in incredible time. In fact, on one of the Fortizar refs, Asher actually asked the whole fleet to overheat their guns up to 90%, and the rate at which we was able to strip those shields was eye-watering.
I believe it's 2 to 4 minutes, depending upon how many Leshaks you have.
So it's 3 minutes for a Fortizar and 10 minutes for a Keepstar.
And that obviously scales with time dilation as well, because time dilation does affect the fleet's DPS, actual DPS, rather than the in-game DPS as well. So because the in-game sort of the in-game calculations obviously scale with time dilation.
Yeah. The core has been inserted into the Fortizar. We are sitting at 13 minutes. Horde has 13 minutes to get into system and stop the Fortizar anchoring.
I'm poised to jump to wherever the Keepstar's Doomsday is gonna fire off on.
It can't shoot.
It's not
and it can't shoot a subcap.
Oh, of course, they changed that a while ago, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Even in tie-dye with this many ships shooting that keep, it won't take too long.
I recall back in the day, FCs figuring out different ways and means of being able to, essentially bait out that particular kind of eventuality from a Keepstar, and try and minimize its damage to subcap fleets. But
Well, the
Go ahead.
The best way to do that used to be just tell your entire fleet to orbit the Keepstar at that optimal, because then it would, because of the size of the Keepstar, it spread them out enough that you didn't need to worry about the Doomsday jumping.
Back when Imminent used to be running Raven fleets, because we found that Raven fleets were particularly exceptional at taking down Keepstars. That was back in the day when the Keepstar Doomsday could actually hit subcaps, but we actually ran heavily plated and I think it was overpropped executors that would basically bloom up their weight or their sig, their mass. Sorry, like they would prop on with their afterburners, with their oversized afterburners to maximize their mass, in order to pull the chained doomsday into all of the executors, and then
we would call it rods. You would just in it properly, and you could get it to basically kill 3 executors, and it wouldn't go on beyond them.
Yeah, you'd lose a bunch of executors, but like, losing a bunch of executors rather than losing a bunch of ravens was much more preferable.
Just looking at the local D scan to see what is being made up here. From the FARC coalition, we've got about 113 NC coalition, and we've got 79 pandemic horde, 57 pandemic legion, and a token showing of 31 from fraternity. So there really are nowhere to be seen at this point. There's just a token force from them looking for any low-hanging fruit around, but there's no serious commitment here. Again, every single time that the Imperium has shown up to, when we've had to stand down because we've been outformed, we would be completely berated by the FARC coalition for not taking the fights and for running away and for, not staying true to the good fights. We know from the intel that the FARC coalition have been rage pinging multiple times all throughout the day for this timer. And in the end, they've not even shown up. They've not even tried. I remember the first time we came to contest the timer, the armor timer for this, Asher literally warped everybody at 0. And he said, "We're going to do this. Why the fuck not?" And it was a dirty fight. There was a lot of losses on everyone's side, but we took the fight because that's what we're here for. And the FARC coalition could have done the same thing. They could have prepared their members. They have control of this system. They've had grid control for quite some time now, and when it came down to it, when it was their turn to throw the gauntlet down, to show the might of the FARC coalition in this time zone, nothing. They didn't even show. We've shown for every single timer. We may have stood down, but we've shown in system, in force for every timer. Pandemic Horde, Pandemic Legion, NC Dot haven't even turned up. They haven't even turned up for this fight.
So they did try to get in early, but they just, whenever they tried to get in anywhere early, it was evident in the War in Dalv as well. They just don't get formed quick enough and get in quick enough, where we just rage ping, like literally blow people's computers up with pings to get people in fleet, and we just get in immediately. Because the important thing in things like this is to get in. If they'd gotten in before us, then we would have had a harder time getting in. But they've never been very good at getting places anywhere quick.
And
well, I mean,
come in.
Vietnam was anything to show for. They could never get in.
So if we're gonna jump in and explain, what the strategic advantage of actually being already in system is.
So if you're already in system, especially when you control the Steiner jammer, you can prevent people from getting through the gates. So, as evident in the Hell War in Dalv, they could never get into 1DQ because every time they formed, we were already there. We were literally ping undock on the gate. And that's the important thing. If you can bog the enemy down on the gate, they can't get anywhere else. So that is the key thing of being in first. The other thing about being in first is you control the situation. So you can choose where you're going to stand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's their Keepstar.
They live.
We were here.
Log on.
We were here 30. It was 30 minutes prior to the thing coming out is when we finally started jumping and gating in. They didn't have their jammers up.
In actual fact, like when I logged my character in order to sort of like start prepping, getting eyes and stuff, like we already had fleets into the system. That was an hour and a half. Not more.
Asher took a 2 or 3.
Oh, were they like in the Fortizar then, or?
Yeah,
Or were they just over on the other Fortizar?
We were clearing bubbles and all that kind of stuff around the Fortizar.
Yeah, well, they still could have jumped in. It's not like the jammers are up.
The jammer was up.
Was it?
When we entered, the jammer was up.
Yeah, because because the other fleets came in order to actually reinforce the jammer and also reinforce the jump bridge that's in system as well. So,
but again, surely all they had to do was have their death clones ready, their ships in the station, and prepare. Asher took several fleets last night into the Fortisar and told everybody, leave your ships, leave a death clone. And if things get crazy with tie-dye again and they block the system out, we jump straight to the fort and we get going. So why didn't they do the same thing in the keep? Why didn't they get all their ships, all their doctrines, all of Horde ready, put the death clones in there, and say, all we have to do is log in, undock, and we're good to go?
I mean, Dave said it in chat earlier. Basically, this Keepstar doesn't really mean that much to them in the grand scheme of things compared to like a deep fraternity one.
Compared to the Radang Keepstar that they have, maybe.
Well, if you look at the Keepstars we had in KQK next door and at 6RCQ prior to us being attacked, in the grand scheme of things, other than power projection, they were not significant to us surviving. This is a forward staging Keepstar. In the grand scheme of things, they can pull back out of here and hold up in their space. And this keep is just an asset that, quite frankly, was written off when they put it down.
Because this asset, even though technically X47 L-Q is fraternity space, it is literally on the very, very fringes of their space. It's kind of like a Keepstar that's there in order to project power over and into Allied space.
Well, yeah, this wasn't originally their system. They took this system.
Okay.
So this used to belong. I can't actually remember who used to own this system, but one of B2 or the like owned this system prior to them attacking. So this is literally just the equivalent of a forward staging Keepstar for an attack.
Right.
Yeah.
It's still important for projection, but yeah, for their daily life, it's not as a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, this Keepstar represents the start of the year-long war pushing into these regions, and the only forward staging Keepstar left within the invasion, and the only war objective left that we need to cross out of one of the things that Asher stated.
So we're in the process of, at the moment, Imperium and B2 forces are in process of stripping the shields off the Keepstar at the moment. We're approximately halfway.
Yeah, we're also 2 minutes 45 seconds on the onlining of the Fortizar. No one has come into system to contest this. There's been no showing from the FARC Coalition. They have been rage pinging all day. And so we came into system a good 2 hours before the timers were up. The fleet ping started to go out early. We wanted to make sure that, we could be seen. There's been a lot of speculation. It's always disheartening from the members of the Imperium or any side of the war when you get formed up, you get ready, you ref something, you start forming, and then the FC says, sorry guys, they've outformed us, or we haven't quite got the right comp, or we haven't got the numbers for this. It's always disheartening to have to turn around and go, and it's always bad for morale. But this is not just a key victory in our effort to ridding the B2 area of the FARC Coalition. It's really showing our members that when it comes down to it, when it's time to really throw down, we're here and we'll do it properly.
Now, we'll have to see when this timer comes out, because if today is Wednesday, on average, these timers are coming out, 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, 2 days.
So we're looking at maybe Friday / Saturday, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean,
the last depends on the
that have come out have been around about 2 o'clock Eve time, which is not terrible.
So who's ready to do it again?
Well, if it needs to be done, we will be here.
Hey, Cooney Nice is not throwing yourself against a wall. Let me tell you, we have won multiple engagements throwing ourselves against the wall. I distinctly remember 4 different Keepstars that were a trillionist each to take down. Not because it was smart, but because we could do it. And no one believed us. And that would be was it YZ9? Yeah, it was YZ9 and F20Y.
Yeah.
And I remember casting for those fights. Those took forever. I remember the glorious moment of listening to one of the other streamers just saying, "This is bullshit. They shouldn't be able to do this. We have more people than them." So fun. Who knew you could throw bombs at a Keepstar? Just saying.
Oh, we tried so many different
there were
so many different meta kind of like experimental kind of doctrines used on those fights.
Meow, I've just noticed our little scrolling breaking news tab is gone.
Yes.
What's happened to my tab?
The fighting isn't imminent. It's taking place, even though it is very one-sided right now. So
one-sided. There is another side. Is the Keepstar fighting back?
Very one-sided, as in we're fighting, they're not. So.
Well, this could have been a great fight, and it was everything to play for. It was a very key strategic objective for them to form for. No doubt, Fraternity would have alarm clocked for this, but it looks in the end that Pandemic Horde just didn't have the interest to follow through on this.
Yeah. How many fleets roughly do we have, or groups?
Well, I can see at least 5 independent groups, but this group on the left-hand side seems to be in multiple groups. So
it's got to be at least 2. I think it's 2 to 3.
There's sets of TFIs and ANIs or Apocalypse.
So right in front of the Keepstar, in a defiant stand, is the Sigma grind set Munins in the ball, and somewhere in there you'll see my Claymore boosting everybody with shields, shield links, and mind implants.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, orbiting the FC like a good line member.
Oh, there we are. I see you. So we have the Sigmas there. We have XIX's Munins on the bottom right-hand side. Top right-hand side is a SAG fleet.
Someone asked, why do we have 3 Fortizars on grid? I think only 2 of them are on grid.
There is
there's one off grid.
There's one off grid. You always have to have a backup, right? So,
we're fully expecting a huge fight to go down, and we already had a backup Fortizar in place. Now, whether or not the second that thing anchors and we leave system, that the FARC coalition show up, reinforce that Fortizar, and then heavily come back for the timer, and remains to be seen. But if he was going to do it, now would have been the time. You could have killed it in one shot. Now you have to kill it into 3 separate timers: the shield timer, the armor timer, the hold timer. You really have made a rod for their own back.
Yeah, it's become a lot harder.
The big reason for multiple faults as well is because failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yeah, you can
only do one, you're gonna, and it dies. You're screwed up.
Exactly. You really want some, You really want that kind of like backup just in case.
Yeah, well, the Fortizar, the infamous Fortizar, is now fully online, operational. It's a huge strategic loss for the FARC coalition. Any hopes of them wanting to stay here and try to, fight off the Imperium's advances? It's important to note that during this deployment, the FARC coalition have made zero aggressive impact on the B2 coalition. Before the Imperium came here, speaking to various members of the B2 coalition, their morale was falling because they were being dunked on by Frat, they were being dunked on by Horde. Other people were coming from throughout the galaxy to third party and just kicking them while they were down. Whereas now, the Imperium's fully deployed with the full might of the Super and Capital Wings, and we have contested every strategic objective we can, and we've set out with a clear war plan, and we've stuck to that plan. But they have not aggressed a single structure, a single system. They've not tried to. They've not gone back to their usual bullying since they're here. This is not a give and take battle where they're pushing us back, we're pushing them back. And so it really does, why put all the effort into defending this particular Keepstar when it all comes down to it, you don't show up for the anchoring of the Fortizar.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing as well, they're parading about the fact that they've killed things like Athanors and stuff. So, in doubt, well, one died in doubt due to FC error, but they're parading about killing Athanors in Carnid and stuff that, quite frankly, we don't care about.
Yeah.
So, and also, what's an Athanor? It's less than like a bill, isn't it? So, who gives a...
Well, the core gives it, 300 or 400 mil for a core or something like that? For
the one we
Athanor?
got in... One that died in Dalv, they had a transport ship sitting on it and still failed to get the core. It walked off without the core.
Well, that loot all button is just so tricky.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a lot of the B2 members really wanting to make it known that their morale never dropped, which I respect 100%. I just know of a few personal friends who decided to move out of the B2 coalition forces to just a little bit further out of the combat because, as another member has said, it did become quite oppressive. But
that's what we call weak.
Brave and the B2 coalitions really have been the rock stars of New Eden this past year. Everybody has been, all the other null blocks have been, grabbing it up and rebuilding, especially the Imperium after the events of the previous war. But Brave really have been the rock stars leading freedom in the North, and it really is a pleasure to be up here working with the B2 fleet commanders and coming together to really give them the push they needed. As soon as the FARC coalition dropped all these Keepstars in defiance, they needed the help.
So I did want to ask Dave, since you are probably more directly involved with it or experiencing it, how has coordination with the other alliances been throughout this? Oops, sorry guys.
Whoa.
Broke ears.
Wake up, Dawn.
Time to go back to work. How has the coordinating with the other alliances been so far?
Really great.
On average.
They're all a great bunch of people, which is really weird to say considering, you go back a year or two and I was, herfing and blurfing that they're terrible. But no, they're really great. Some people may have noticed that the FCs from B2 and Fire have access to some of the command channels on Mumble, and we just it functions like they're part of the furniture and have been there for ages. It's like coordinating within it, really. Everybody's just kind of on the same page. And everybody works together. And it's interesting to see the group of people that are all working together, because you go back 2 years and you'd never see the group of people you have working together now, even talking to each other. You got PGL leading a Goon fleet. You've got Fire working with us. That
must be strange, having the Fire Coalition living up in B2.
So at first it was a bit odd having, people like Arcadius on comms and talking to them and working with them and Shattered. But yeah, as I said, they've kind of fit in as part of the furniture. And there's no hard feelings between anyone because past is past and it's just a game.
Yeah, I mean, that's nice. I remember having lots of fights with Arcadia Soul in the Sigma Grind set, and yeah, you could get a bit heated back and forth, but it's nice to see that they've integrated nicely and found their place.
And yes, everyone wants your mouse, McLeod.
Oh yeah. It's a fun thing to use for sure.
Yeah, but is it a mouse that you have constantly plugged into your computer, or is it one that you put on from time to time?
It's plugged in, but like I just move it off to like to the side whenever I'm not using it. I really like the inertia that I have on it at the moment.
So how does it work? Since we're just watching a Keepstar getting shot, can you just like force them, like make the mouse move through 3D space, or?
Yeah, so it's like it has basically 8 or 8 degrees of movement. So you have your usual sort of like left, right, up, down, or left, right, forward, backwards kind of thing, right? You also have up and down, right? So you can literally take it and move it up. That's what happens.
It
there,
also is
right?
aided by the tactical camera, which
And so you
is
can push it.
Alt by default, and then you can use the right mouse button to pan around.
Yeah. So so when you have forward, backwards, left, right, and up and down, that's 6 degrees of movement, right? But you also have on the mouse like a twist function, so you can twist it left and right, and that gives you the sort of like the that allows you to sort of do this sort of thing. So the nice thing is you have basically all the kind of movement that's required for very cinematic kind of shots. The difficulty is controlling it, especially when you're sort of approaching an object, right? And then you want to track that object while still carrying on that path. So you have to kind of sort of invert where you're moving.
I agree with some of the comments there about hoping that this is not over once this Keepstar is gone. I really hope that Asher finds some way to keep us in the fight in the north, whether it's a counter-offensive. It's very difficult because nobody wants to fight on Chinese time zones. It's laborious. It's very difficult. So, a full frontal offensive into the fraternity space is tricky. But maybe there's other things we can do while we're here.
Maybe we can go blow up Snuffed Out. That'll go well. Goons have a fantastic record when it comes.
Karma Fleet gave them a run for their money the other day.
What?
They decided to attack a Karma Fleet university structure, and Karma Fleet with about 150 Falxes screwed them over.
Yeah.
So giving you guys an update to where we were at in terms of the actual shield timer is very close to actually being finished. To the point where it actually looks like some of the fleets are lining out already.
Yeah. Just to recap for anybody that's a latecomer, we formed heavily for a Imperium Fortizar, which we've anchored just off the Keepstar in order to siege it. We was expecting very large numbers from the FARC Coalition, multiple pings throughout the day from the FARC Coalition, to form thick for this. The Imperium made a decision to form 2 hours early to try and get grid control. And reports came in pretty quickly that the pandemic horde fleet was told to stand down, and that was the end of it. We didn't want to, rely on that too much because you never know. But this report, the Fart fleet stood down 40 to 45 minutes before the structure was even due to anchor, so it was over before it started, really. Now we are just reinforcing the Keepstar once again. We've got the Fortizar is successfully anchored there. So once we get a reasonable timer, we'll be back. We'll be able to siege it now. We won't have to rely on the subs that we have before. We'll be able to siege this with the caps. And I think this this sort of war is breathing its last breaths for sure.
Considering we have Dave in here as well as you, John, like, when this reinforces, is it typically like approximately 2 days of reinforcement, or is it like shorter than that?
It's been a while since I've actually left a structure, but
I'm thinking, bearing in mind it's Wednesday, if we're having 2 days of reinforcement, it means that it'll land on a Friday. And then
I've been on pretty much every fleet that comes to bash it. I go pretty hard with Eve. I'm on it most days. But yes, it has been 2 days.
So, little birdie Robbins is a little upsetty that FRT has been mining this whole time.
We're down.
Shots of them mining.
We're down.
Crab has got a crab.
We're down to the slimmest of slivers on the shield before this goes into reinforced. But they should set up an armor timer for potentially Friday. With if there's a no-show there from Fart Coalition, then that'll be a whole timer on Sunday as well. So
yeah, definitely. And with that Fortizar being in system now, it really isn't a lot of effort at all to just send the fighters over there on the Skynet. We'll just get a ping that says they want carriers to log in. They'll get the carriers there ahead of time. They'll send the fighters over the Keepstar, and then they'll just passively ref it. And they'll probably have a few supporting fleets standing by.
Theoretically, it's that simple. It just depends on how they're defending it.
Yeah. Okay, there goes the timer. So it's the 31st of March, 11:01. Just after downtime.
Why they do that?
A mad scramble after downtime to get in.
If we decide to take this timer, yeah.
They typically do it because, as far as I know, if the timer comes out during downtime, it goes through the sort of like repair cycle whilst downtime is occurring, or is that
timer restarts? So, say it came out 10 minutes before downtime. It's got 5 minutes left on the timer. Downtime hits, that'll go back to 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. So when it comes back online, it'll be 15 minutes. When the servers come back online, it'll be 15 minutes.
But the other reason why you do that is because it's just trickier to get into a system around downtime, because you've got to get in super early or very quickly after.
Yeah. And then it's follow up on this timer for not at all.
And then it's a login game basically. Like who can log their forces in fastest and get their fleets up and running and onto the grid. And all that time, elongates when people are logging into system, and the time dilation factor on the system is like ramping up like crazy, right? So.
And you saw how well we logged in last time on here when we had to do a fucking fight. PH got like 3 fleets in before the rest of us fucking made it in.
Actually, the last time would be when we killed the 3 Keepstars at once.
No, I'm talking about the first time we shot this one.
I wasn't there for that.
Yeah. No, the horrible tie-dye fest at 7 a.m. on a Sunday. Yeah. That was we were all trying to log in. We're like, why are PH and other orange things getting in first? And then people were getting, and then eventually some blue fleets finally made it in, but by then it was too late. And it's just like, well, guess we'll just brawl it out for a while.
I'm going to quickly address some I saw in chat, because I see a lot of people saying this, that repair timers should be affected by tie-dye. That would be a somewhat bad idea, mainly because you will literally be sitting there for almost a day waiting for this timer to tick down if there's massive tie-dye, and then people would deliberately try and cause tie-dye to make it easier to attack the structure, things like that.
Yeah.
Their answer to it was a whole timer is now 30 minutes instead of 15 minutes.
I guess it's helpful.
I just
Yeah.
want to quickly
the
do a
FC
bit of...
roundup there on the various different fleets across the chats. I'm just getting a call from the FC one moment. I'm sitting still. I'm not anchoring. I'm a bad. Yeah, the FCs are just chatting up there, saying that it's mission accomplished. The Fortizar is been online. Mission success. The capitals are being removed from the system back to the DO6H.
So you guys can check my maths here, but like in a 10% tie-dye situation, a 15-minute timer extends out to 2.5 hours. So,
yeah, then you add on pausing intermittently, and it's just ahead.
Exactly, right. It just you can potentially like extend the sort of like the repair timer to an absolute ludicrous amount, which is why it's not affected by time dilation. I do miss, to some degree, the old pause mechanics of being able to hit a pause on a sort of like an off time to be able to manipulate the sort of like the reinforcement time to actually come out in a more favorable time than you for you rather than for the defenders. Yeah, I wish we could have some of that back, but yeah.
Are the fleets doing anything else? Or are they leaving?
Well, this grid seems to be a little bit barren now that the Keepstar has been reinforced. I imagine most of the Imperium fleets are gathering back on to the current online Fortizar in system.
Sorry, I'm just listening into various different comms that are going on. I think I'm tuned into about 4 different clients.
Average youth, they're learning how to listen to multiple people talk at once.
Yeah. Well, the intel was coming through that infighting has since broken out with Pandemic Horde and Fraternity, each one pointing the finger at each other, that they weren't prepared and they didn't take control of the system, or they were supposed to take this particular objective. So it's always good to see when you've got infighting in the coalition. So I'm sure that'll be a big speculation and debate in Reddit. I don't tend to dwell over there too much, honestly. I prefer to get my information from the source, which is what we aim to do, to be on the ground whenever these key objectives are, so you can see exactly what's going on rather than having it secondhand.
See, that's one thing about the Imperium. We have clearly defined people that when they are present, they are in charge no matter who or where you are. So, for instance, when Ash is there, generally Ash is in charge, but, it's Asher, so you can give opinions and he may change his plan. And when Ash is not there, Darkshines generally is the default person that is giving the orders to everyone. So there's always a person in charge, whereas from what I've witnessed with people like Horde and all that, they like to run their own show and try and work together, which doesn't really work.
Yeah, I mean, as a new member of the Imperium, Sigma Grindset have only really been with the Imperium the past few months. We've been thoroughly impressed with the efficiency, the communication, and the logistics that the Goonswarm Federation and the Imperium have shown. Also, the professionalism, the warmth that we've been shown as a whole. I've never been part of an Imperium coalition before or a member. And, you hear various different, stories and stigmas about Goonswarm and the Imperium, but as a new member who's recently joined the coalition, I can attest that it is a real stand-up organization with solid leadership and thorough, clear communication. So we are certainly happy to be the latest Imperium members, as Sigma Grind said.
Oh, can't be us.
Yeah, it's generally like you pay your dues, you do what's expected of you, and it's amazing. Certain alliances, like actually, I openly said it's a Sib Squad. They're turning up now in the same time zones we were asking them or telling them about to in greater numbers than they ever did for us. So.
Steve, they're not actually. They already put out a ping like last week saying they were taking 2 weeks to rest from all of the fleets and fighting.
Yeah, but I mean, when they initially moved and up until that they were immediately started showing numbers, where for us all we got was Hanzo complaining that we didn't go hand and, ask for him to come and FC for us. It's like, you're in the channel where all this is discussed. Turn up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's all coming to a close. The last of the Imperium fleets are being sinoed home back to D06H. The capitals are out of system. The local is despiking. This is a mission success. This is the Fart Coalition failed to show. Pandemic Horde, nowhere to be seen. Fraternity, not even on grid. All objectives have been accomplished. New timers have been set. And now it's everything to play for. We have a timer set on Friday. We can choose to take that timer, or we can just roll it again on Friday and we can have a fight of the armor on a Sunday. So it's all to play for, but mission success. The bad guys did not show up. There is infighting of who was supposed to do what. But as we bring this stream to much of a close, we've got a new Fortizar anchored just off the Keepstar. It will be sieged, it will be destroyed, and we will be that little bit closer to ridding the B2 coalition of any further fraternity aggression.
And we thought we'd show you some Titans at the end of it. Because I'm sure that's probably what a lot of people have been hoping to see today, is some Titans.
That is always the final way to win, is just throw a bunch of Titans on the grid and hope for the best.
Kinda.
To be fair, we've never lost a super fight, knock on wood.
No, we've come bloody close, but no, we haven't. No.
We've always been very mature in our handling of both our and our allies' supercaps and Titan fleets.
Just listening to the dwindling end of the Sigma coalition, sorry, the Sigma Alliance comms there, they are blaming me being too intimidating on the INN that the bads did not show up, and they are now petitioning me to no longer stream for INN so that they can continue to get fights.
Just, your news-based background is just too on point.
Yeah. Well, as I say, this is all rounding off. We've just got the last few fleets coming out. We're going to wrap this stream up, and thank you all for coming. And my co-anchors here who have been helping me throughout the stream. Unfortunately, it was not another combat situation. The clock continues to tick on when our next fight will be.
And with that,
thanks for joining us, Dave. It's always good to have on-the-ground insight. Dawn and Meow for hosting us there.
No worries, no worries, and thank you very much, everybody who's been watching ahead and or watching, and we love all the follows, and thank you very much for all of the support with the subs and stuff. It definitely helps. You should definitely check out some of the other shows that we have, like our regular scheduled shows, and obviously, if you are following, you will also get notifications of when we go live for an interesting potential massive firefight.
Yeah, don't forget to raid for us, Meow. But I'm going to go ahead and clock off now and say to all, stay Sigma.
Okay, I'll jump us to an intermission, and then I'll see if I can find somebody to raid if I'm able to raid. I'm not entirely certain whether we have the
No.
the things to the sort of commands to raid, like, or not. I
I
don't know.
know, but there's only certain permissions to do it. So
Brisk has some special source to be able to do that. And I highly doubt that that the bot has the ability to raid. But either way, we'll leave you on with some very beautiful shots of these Titans bridging.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys on the next one, I guess, right?
As soon as anything to report, we'll be here.
Bye.
Later.
This one goes out to all the gamer girls and
There we go.
especially the gamer boys.
Well, that was anticlimactic, wasn't it?
Our new beverage is guaranteed to leave you feeling fresh and looking
We
incredible.
got pretty shots. Got to shit talk and
Made using only the
clowns out
finest
there that
artisanal
keyboard
ice
and
water
scrap
from the
up
ice
the 20
belts of
fingers and
DTAC W.
well, you didn't pour 'em, but you
Coming
did.
soon to a Delve Citadel near you. J Amazingness capsule water. It's for the Sims.